Signs you have toxic friends, not real friends. Stoicism. Step 1. Friendships have always been central to human happiness, but while good friendships enhance our lives, toxic ones can do the opposite. Stoic philosophy provides a timeless guide on how to recognize friendships that preserve and uplift our sense of peace, in contrast to those that compromise it. Stoics believe that true tranquility comes from within, unshaken by external influences. Friendships that respect this tranquility are valuable, while those that disrupt it, leading to stress, emotional exhaustion, and a feeling of imbalance, are to be approached with caution or even released. When a friendship consistently leaves us feeling drained, anxious, or unfulfilled, it often reflects a toxic nature. Toxicity in a friendship doesn't necessarily mean a friend is intentionally harmful, rather, it can indicate a mismatch in values or energy that leaves one person feeling weighed down. In Stoic terms, inner peace is disrupted when our focus shifts too much to the actions or problems of others, which may lie beyond our control. Friends who repeatedly draw us into their drama, negative outlook, or emotional instability can become roadblocks on our path to serenity, regardless of their intentions. Stoic perspective on inner peace. In Stoic philosophy, the pursuit of a serene mind is paramount. Ancient Stoics like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca taught that peace and virtue come from aligning our actions with our principles and limiting our emotional reactions to things beyond our control. Friendships that consistently bring drama or emotional upheaval clash with this goal, as they direct our mental energy outward and prevent us from maintaining equilibrium. For the Stoic, energy and time are finite resources to be used wisely, with a focus on things that enrich our lives. When a friend's presence makes us feel as though we're on an emotional roller coaster, it may be a sign that the friendship requires a re-evaluation. Toxic friendships often disrupt our inner peace by introducing recurring negative themes, complaining, gossiping, unreliability, or demanding more time and energy than we're able to give. This tendency for emotional excess clashes with the Stoic ideal of measured responses and self-control. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, reminds us that we should be cautious of anything that disrupts our sense of stillness. If a friendship consistently leaves us feeling off balance, we might ask ourselves if the bond respects our tranquility or if it constantly challenges it. The energy drain of toxic friendships. Our mental and emotional energy is limited, and Stoics emphasize the importance of using it wisely. Toxic friends often pull us into cycles of negativity, burdening us with their problems without showing genuine interest in resolving them. This kind of friend may require frequent emotional support or reassurance, but rarely reciprocates when we need the same. We may find ourselves acting as emotional caretakers, supporting them in crises that seem to arise constantly, with little progress toward a healthier dynamic. The result is emotional exhaustion and energy drain that makes it difficult for us to focus on our own lives and challenges. Consider, for example, a friend who constantly talks about personal drama, such as conflicts at work, family issues, or romantic relationships, without taking steps to address the root causes. While a supportive friend would listen and empathize, Stoicism suggests that we should avoid becoming so entangled in another's problems that it jeopardizes our own peace of mind. When we're regularly exposed to this kind of unending negativity, it takes a toll on our well-being, leaving us less able to handle our own responsibilities. Recognizing the weight of emotional imbalance. One hallmark of a toxic friendship is a recurring sense of imbalance, where one person consistently takes while the other gives. Stoicism values equilibrium and self-respect, encouraging us to find harmony within relationships rather than to be continuously at the mercy of others' needs. Friends who respect us will honor our boundaries and recognize that we have our own limitations. In contrast, toxic friends may disregard these boundaries, placing undue expectations on us or even reacting with anger when we try to assert them. Imagine a scenario where a friend expects constant availability, becoming upset when we need space. This lack of respect for our boundaries creates an unequal dynamic, as the toxic friend prioritizes their desires over our well-being. Over time, this behavior can lead to resentment, as we feel taken advantage of rather than supported. Stoicism teaches that we should protect our autonomy and self-respect, only offering what we are genuinely able to give without sacrificing our own needs. How a real friend supports inner peace. Just as we identify toxic friendships by their impact on our peace, we recognize real friends through the balance and positivity they bring into our lives. A real friend, in the Stoic sense, is a person who understands and respects our need for tranquility. They don't drain our energy but instead help us recharge. A real friend is steady, calm, and reliable, embodying traits that reflect the virtues of patience, wisdom, and kindness. This friend understands that friendship is a two-way path, respecting the needs, values, and boundaries of both parties. Such friends don't demand excessive emotional labor, instead, they support us while allowing us to maintain our independence. When conflicts arise, they seek to resolve them through honest, open communication rather than through manipulation or passive aggression. They share our values and, when they offer advice, it's aligned with our best interests rather than motivated by their own agenda. Spending time with a true friend leaves us feeling energized, valued, and supported in our quest for personal growth. Detaching from toxic relationships. If a friendship consistently challenges our peace and leaves us feeling drained, detachment might be the Stoic response. Detachment doesn't mean abandoning compassion or cutting off people harshly, rather, it involves creating mental and emotional distance that protects our well-being. Epictetus famously taught that we should be careful not to let external influences, including friendships, control our emotions. If a friend's behavior disrupts our tranquility, we may choose to reduce our exposure to them, limit the intensity of the connection, or gently enforce boundaries. The process of detachment can be challenging, especially if we feel obligated to stay connected. Stoicism encourages us to approach such situations with compassion for both ourselves and the other person. By practicing acceptance and recognizing that we cannot change others, we can peacefully let go of toxic dynamics while preserving our inner calm. We may still care about the person, but we understand that our well-being requires us to limit their influence in our lives. Cultivating friendships that support peace and virtue. Real friends enhance our journey towards self-improvement, supporting us in the development of virtues like patience, integrity, and resilience. They not only respect our boundaries but encourage our growth, sharing wisdom and experiences that uplift us. In contrast to toxic friends who focus on personal gains, real friends find joy in our successes and are there for us during challenges. Their support is genuine and grounded, helping us to stay focused on what truly matters. The Stoic path toward peace is not one of isolation, but of carefully choosing companions who share our commitment to a virtuous life. True friendship, in Stoic philosophy, is about building each other up, not tearing each other down. A friend who encourages us to remain calm, to approach challenges with grace, and to stay focused on our goals embodies the principles of a Stoic friend. Spending time with such friends can feel like a balm, leaving us refreshed rather than depleted. In our modern lives, where stressors abound, these friendships are invaluable, providing a source of stability amidst external chaos. Conclusion: choosing peace and protecting our energy. Stoicism reminds us that inner peace is one of our most precious resources, and we must guard it carefully. Toxic friendships, with their demands, drama, and negativity, can strip us of this peace, leaving us feeling exhausted and unbalanced. By identifying such friendships and practicing detachment, we regain control over our energy, focusing it on relationships and activities that support our values. Real friendships, aligned with Stoic values, bring balance, joy, and tranquility into our lives, helping us on our path to personal growth. Embracing this philosophy doesn't mean avoiding connections altogether, but rather, it emphasizes the quality of our relationships over their quantity. The Stoic approach to friendship is discerning. It advises us to seek friends who contribute positively to our lives, reflect our values, and respect our need for calm. By prioritizing these qualities, we can build a circle of friends who uplift us, inspire us, and support our journey toward a life of peace, virtue, and resilience. Step 2. Exploring friendships through the lens of Stoicism reveals profound insights into the importance of virtue and integrity in relationships. Integrity and honesty are foundational Stoic values, serving as guiding principles in the quest for a fulfilling life. When we evaluate our friendships, it's essential to recognize whether the people we surround ourselves with uphold these values or detract from them. Friendships characterized by manipulation, deceit, or a lack of moral grounding can subtly erode our character, while genuine friendships built on virtue reinforce and support our personal growth. For the Stoic philosopher, virtue is central to a life well lived. Ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca taught that virtue was not just a personal pursuit but a compass that should direct our choices and relationships. In this context, toxic friendships, defined by dishonesty, manipulation, and self-interest, clash with Stoic principles, often leading to frustration, disappointment, and even a loss of self-respect. By understanding how virtue and integrity play roles in our friendships, we can better assess which connections are beneficial for our personal journey and which may be holding us back. Virtue and integrity, the Stoic foundation of character. In Stoicism, virtue is often described as the only true good. Virtue comprises qualities such as wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline, and Stoics believe that living in alignment with these values leads to a life of fulfillment. A person who embodies integrity is honest, trustworthy, and consistent in their actions, aligning their behavior with their values and beliefs. Integrity and honesty are qualities that enhance one's character and foster a sense of inner peace, qualities Stoics believe to be essential for a meaningful life. Stoic wisdom also emphasizes that we are heavily influenced by the people we spend time with, which is why choosing virtuous friends is essential. Friends with integrity will encourage us to remain true to our principles, while toxic friends may lead us into situations that require us to compromise our values or act against our better judgment. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reflects on the value of surrounding oneself with individuals of good character, as he believed that such friendships reinforced his own commitment to virtue. Toxic friends as threats to virtue. Toxic friendships are those in which dishonesty, manipulation, or self-centered behavior takes precedence over integrity and respect. These types of friends may lie, use deception to achieve their own ends, or act in ways that show little regard for others' well-being. Their lack of virtue not only reflects poorly on their character but also risks influencing ours. When a friend lacks integrity, they might encourage us to participate in unethical actions, push us to overlook their manipulations, or place us in situations that compromise our own honesty and sense of right and wrong. The Stoic approach teaches us to be cautious of individuals who consistently act without moral grounding, as their behavior can chip away at our sense of self. For example, a toxic friend who regularly deceives others may normalize dishonesty, making it seem acceptable to bend the truth in our own lives. Over time, this normalization of deceit or self-centeredness can lead to a gradual erosion of our own values, shifting our behavior away from the principles we once held dear. Stoics warn us to guard against such influences, as a life devoid of integrity is ultimately unfulfilling. Manipulation and its erosion of trust. One of the key traits of a toxic friend lacking integrity is manipulation. Manipulation involves deceit or control to achieve a personal agenda, often at the expense of others. Stoicism holds that we should live openly and honestly, so manipulation directly opposes this philosophy, fostering an atmosphere of distrust and insecurity. A friend who manipulates is driven by self-interest rather than a mutual respect for boundaries or desires. This behavior leads to emotional strain, as the manipulated person is left to deal with the friend's inconsistent or insincere motives. Manipulation often leaves us feeling confused and questioning our own worth, as a toxic friend might use guilt, coercion, or emotional blackmail to achieve their goals. This emotional toll disrupts the Stoic ideal of tranquility, as it fills our minds with needless worry and stress. A true friend, on the other hand, would respect our boundaries and communicate openly, allowing us to make choices freely without feeling pressured or deceived. Lies and dishonesty, the opposite of Stoic transparency. Lies and deceit are common features of toxic friendships that lack virtue and integrity. A friend who lies frequently, whether it's to us or to others, undermines the trust that forms the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. Stoics believe that truthfulness is fundamental to a life of virtue. Lying erodes that foundation, creating an environment of mistrust and suspicion. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of honesty, noting that a life built on deceit is ultimately unworthy of respect. Lies in a friendship create a ripple effect, as we begin to question the sincerity of all interactions, doubting whether we're seeing the friend's true character or a facade. The insecurity stemming from dishonesty disrupts our peace of mind and makes it difficult to find a stable foundation in the relationship. In contrast, true friends are honest, even when the truth may be uncomfortable. Their honesty reinforces trust and gives us confidence that our interactions are genuine and free from hidden agendas. Erosion of character and self-respect. Stoicism teaches that our character is the most valuable aspect of who we are. When we maintain friendships with people who lack integrity, our character may be compromised. Toxic friends might encourage behaviors that conflict with our values, slowly eroding our self-respect. For example, a friend who lies to achieve their own goals might expect us to turn a blind eye to their dishonesty or, worse, participate in it. This type of influence subtly pressures us to act against our own beliefs, resulting in a loss of self-trust. Over time, the compromises we make for toxic friends may lead to internal conflict, as we feel guilty for not upholding our values. This inner conflict disrupts the Stoic pursuit of harmony between one's actions and beliefs. Seneca, in his letters, warns that we should avoid people who lack integrity, as they ultimately draw us into their way of thinking, putting our own virtue at risk. By surrounding ourselves with friends who lack integrity, we risk diminishing our own sense of honor and self-worth. Real friends as anchors of virtue. A genuine friend supports us in our pursuit of virtue and growth. Real friends act as anchors, helping us stay grounded in our values, even during difficult times. They embody qualities like honesty, kindness, and empathy, inspiring us to develop these traits within ourselves. A friend with integrity will not manipulate, lie, or act out of selfishness. Instead, they respect our autonomy, value our well-being, and act with transparency. Their presence in our lives affirms our commitment to living with honor, serving as a reminder of the values we hold dear. True friends share constructive feedback, guiding us in a way that reflects their respect for our potential. They encourage us to make decisions aligned with our beliefs, reminding us of our strength and encouraging us to stay true to our principles. In contrast to toxic friends who might encourage compromising our integrity, real friends help us grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient in the face of challenges. Navigating the influence of friends on personal growth. Stoicism recognizes that friendships have a powerful impact on our personal development. Friends who embody virtue inspire us to cultivate virtue in our own lives. However, those who lack integrity can influence us to make choices that conflict with our values. The Stoics taught that we should guard against relationships that compromise our character, as they interfere with our path to self-mastery and inner peace. When evaluating friendships, Stoicism encourages us to ask whether the relationship supports our growth or detracts from it. Does this friend encourage honesty, respect, and kindness? Or do they prioritize personal gain, even if it means compromising others' well-being? By reflecting on these questions, we can better understand which friendships align with our pursuit of a virtuous life and which might hinder it. Detaching from friendships that lack integrity. Detaching from friendships that lack virtue may feel difficult, especially if we've invested time and energy in the relationship. However, Stoic philosophy teaches that our primary commitment is to our own growth and inner peace. If a friend's lack of integrity disrupts our peace of mind or requires us to act against our principles, then detachment may be a necessary step. This doesn't mean we hold resentment or anger toward the person, rather, we accept that the friendship no longer aligns with our goals and gracefully distance ourselves. In detaching from toxic friendships, Stoicism encourages us to focus on cultivating relationships that support our journey toward virtue. Letting go of friendships that lack integrity opens space for new connections with people who share our values and aspirations. It allows us to invest in relationships that nourish our spirit and inspire us to become better versions of ourselves. Conclusion: choosing friendships that reflect our values. Stoicism teaches that integrity and virtue are essential for a life of meaning and fulfillment. In friendships, these qualities become a standard by which we measure the value of our connections. Toxic friendships that lack integrity may initially seem harmless, but over time, they erode our peace, character, and sense of self-worth. By being mindful of the people we allow into our lives, we protect our commitment to virtue, surrounding ourselves with friends who reinforce our values rather than challenge them. In choosing friendships that reflect our values, we find companions who bring out the best in us, supporting us on our journey toward a life of honesty, courage, and resilience. Through this practice, we cultivate not only friendships but a life rooted in the principles we hold dear. True friends encourage us to live authentically and virtuously, helping us build a future grounded in integrity and peace. Step 3. Exploring the Stoic approach to boundaries provides valuable insights into the nature of healthy versus toxic friendships. Boundaries are essential for personal well-being, self-respect, and a balanced life, qualities Stoicism values highly. Stoics advocate for self-discipline, mental clarity, and the protection of one's inner peace, all of which are supported by having clear, respected boundaries. Toxic friends, however, often disregard boundaries, viewing them as obstacles rather than as expressions of self-care and respect. A friendship that fails to honor boundaries tends to drain us, limit our personal growth, and compromise our well-being. Boundaries are not just about limiting others, they are about defining and preserving who we are and how we wish to live. Setting boundaries is a form of self-respect and self-care, allowing us to protect our energy, values, and time. Boundaries can cover a range of personal needs, from respecting our time to upholding our beliefs. In Stoic philosophy, one of the key goals is achieving inner peace by learning to control our reactions and focusing on what we can control. This philosophy naturally aligns with the importance of boundaries. Boundaries provide a framework that helps us maintain clarity and composure, especially in challenging relationships. By respecting our boundaries, real friends help us create an environment that supports our growth and tranquility. The importance of boundaries in Stoicism. Stoic thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca emphasized the importance of personal boundaries, though they did not use the modern terminology. They believed that inner peace is achieved through self-discipline and clarity, which requires that we guard against external influences that disrupt our sense of equilibrium. Epictetus taught that we should focus only on what we can control, such as our thoughts, actions, and responses. Relationships that constantly demand our attention and energy risk shifting our focus away from what we can control, leading to frustration and mental exhaustion. For the Stoics, boundaries serve as protection against unnecessary distractions and emotional upheavals. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, advises us to be cautious of relationships that disturb our tranquility, and that protecting our peace sometimes means setting limits on how others interact with us. This concept of self-discipline in managing our interactions mirrors the importance of boundaries in modern psychology. Boundaries are a necessary aspect of relationships, allowing us to preserve our well-being and maintain the clarity that Stoics believe is essential for a virtuous life. Toxic friends and the disregard for boundaries. Toxic friends are often those who consistently fail to respect the boundaries we set, viewing them as inconveniences or even rejecting them altogether. Their lack of respect for boundaries may manifest in various ways. They may be chronically late, monopolize our time, disrespect our beliefs, or invade our personal space. Rather than understanding boundaries as a way to strengthen the friendship by respecting individual needs, they see boundaries as restrictions that prevent them from getting what they want. This attitude can lead to manipulation, guilt-tripping, and even resentment, creating a stressful and unbalanced dynamic in the relationship. For example, a friend who demands constant attention or who frequently interrupts our work or personal time fails to respect the boundary of our time. This behavior may appear trivial at first but can become mentally and emotionally draining, as it shows a disregard for our schedule, commitments, and needs. Stoicism emphasizes the need to protect our time and energy, viewing them as resources that should be used wisely. Toxic friends disrupt this balance, leaving us feeling depleted and potentially anxious about maintaining the relationship. The consequences of disregarded boundaries. When boundaries are not respected, it leads to a sense of imbalance, as one person consistently prioritizes their own needs over the well-being of the other. This imbalance can create frustration, resentment, and even guilt, as we feel pressured to conform to the other person's demands. In Stoic philosophy, such a situation is seen as a disruption to our peace and a detriment to our personal growth. Friends who lack respect for our boundaries may put us in uncomfortable situations, attempting to impose their beliefs, opinions, or emotional needs on us. Over time, this erodes our confidence and sense of self, as we may begin to doubt our own needs and values. Stoicism teaches that we should protect ourselves from external influences that cloud our judgment and inner peace. If a friend continually ignores our boundaries, it prevents us from focusing on our own path and values. This constant disruption hinders our progress toward a Stoic life of self-discipline and virtue, as we are distracted by their demands and the emotional toll they create. Real friends, on the other hand, understand that respecting boundaries is not only essential for individual well-being but also for the health of the friendship itself. Respectful friends and the art of boundaries. A true friend values and respects the boundaries we set, understanding that boundaries are an essential part of any healthy relationship. They recognize that our needs, time, and beliefs are just as important as their own. A real friend will not only accept our boundaries but will also honor them, refraining from actions or behaviors that might make us uncomfortable or infringe upon our personal space. By respecting our boundaries, they show that they genuinely care about our well-being and are willing to adapt their behavior to maintain a balanced and supportive relationship. Real friends support us in our journey toward growth, encouraging us to set boundaries that protect our well-being and peace. They may even help us identify areas where we need stronger boundaries, offering guidance or perspective without overstepping. For instance, a friend who values our time will understand if we need to decline a last-minute invitation to honor other commitments. This respect reinforces our sense of self and our commitment to living authentically, aligned with our own values and priorities. Boundaries and the practice of detachment. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the practice of detachment, learning to distance ourselves from situations, emotions, or people that disrupt our inner peace. Detachment in the Stoic sense does not mean emotional coldness, rather, it is the ability to let go of things beyond our control, maintaining our composure and focus on what matters. When a friendship consistently fails to honor our boundaries, Stoicism teaches that we should consider detaching from it to preserve our well-being. Detachment allows us to protect our peace without anger or resentment, recognizing that not all friendships are conducive to a virtuous and balanced life. Detaching from a toxic friendship doesn't mean we lack compassion for the other person, rather, it is an acknowledgement that our values and priorities differ. This understanding allows us to step back without negative emotions, focusing on friendships that support and respect our journey. Detachment can be a difficult process, especially if we've invested time and energy in the friendship. However, Stoicism reminds us that our primary responsibility is to our own growth and peace. By letting go of relationships that do not serve us, we create space for connections that do. Stoic techniques for reinforcing boundaries. Stoicism offers practical tools for maintaining and reinforcing boundaries, especially in challenging situations. One technique is the Stoic practice of premeditation of adversity, in which we anticipate challenges or boundary violations and mentally prepare ourselves to respond calmly and assertively. By imagining how we would respond to a friend who disregards our boundary, we gain clarity and confidence in how to handle the situation. This practice allows us to respond from a place of strength, rather than reacting impulsively or out of frustration. Another useful Stoic technique is the cultivation of self-discipline. Setting and enforcing boundaries requires a measure of discipline, as it involves saying no and standing firm on our needs, even when faced with pressure. Stoicism teaches that self-discipline is essential for a virtuous life, helping us avoid situations and people that threaten our peace. By practicing self-discipline, we strengthen our resolve to maintain boundaries, even in the face of resistance. Recognizing the value of healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are essential for all relationships, not just friendships. They serve as an expression of self-respect, clarity, and authenticity, enabling us to live in alignment with our values. In friendships, boundaries allow us to establish a balanced dynamic where each person's needs are respected. When both friends respect each other's boundaries, they foster an environment of mutual understanding, where both can thrive. Stoicism, with its focus on self-mastery and inner peace, reinforces the idea that boundaries are not selfish but necessary for a harmonious life. By recognizing the value of boundaries, we empower ourselves to cultivate friendships that support our journey toward virtue and tranquility. Boundaries help us filter out relationships that do not serve us, creating space for connections that align with our values. They allow us to maintain our focus on what we can control, without becoming entangled in others' demands or expectations. Conclusion: choosing friends who respect boundaries. In Stoicism, boundaries are integral to a life of peace, clarity, and virtue. Real friends understand and respect these boundaries, supporting our need for personal space, self-care, and time. Toxic friends, in contrast, see boundaries as obstacles and tend to push against them, disregarding our well-being. By setting clear boundaries, we create a space that honors our needs, values, and goals. This practice is essential for maintaining inner tranquility and self-discipline, which are key components of a Stoic life. Friendships that fail to respect boundaries ultimately distract us from our path, while friendships that honor them enhance our journey. By discerning which friends align with our commitment to virtue, we can build connections that reinforce our values, foster respect, and allow us to live authentically. Embracing boundaries not only strengthens our sense of self but also empowers us to cultivate relationships that enrich our lives, bringing us closer to the Stoic ideal of inner peace and resilience.